Okay, so first question is, why are you here personally, and what do you think the Occupy movement stands for?
In terms of the Occupy movement, well, it's very much about the 99% coming together to change the system that we live under. Like, people realise that the system is broken, and they're very much standing for human needs, not corporate greed. And it's very much about finding ways of winning people over in the course of that fight. Why am I here? I'm from Socialist Alliance, and we're very much about fighting to change the system that we live under. I'm also from Community Action Against Homophobia, as well as a number of other groups. And there was a false court order put in place that I've been fighting to revoke for my people, for amnesty to be cleared. And I've seen this is the first time in 4 years where we haven't had to deal with the courts, where we've been able to clean up the mess that was created by the false court order. And it's tough, because you see people that you care about act ugly, and my strategy has always been not to condemn, but instead to change the social situation that caused them to label you a criminal or a nutcase in the first place. It's my strong belief that when people learn and wake up to the truth, that people can come together and change the system that we live under, that people have the power and the fundamental ability to make anything possible. But you can't do it on your own. To have a legal system that expects people to do that, expects people to not politically organised, not talk politics, not build human solidarity, not fight for, we're all fighting for our lives here. And for the legal system to particularly, I just think that we have a right to occupy, we have a right to unite without it being seen as a criminal act, and people have got to give each other a go. If we don't give each other a go to change the system that we live under, then changing the system that we live under can become difficult. Che Guevara's stance was that he fundamentally believed that that people needed to unite to defeat the common enemy. Now, that common enemy in this case is the 1%. It's the 1% that continue to control the system that we live under, where there is no there's no real sense of democracy. There's no You've got, 105,000 people homeless youth sleeping on the street every night. And people see the poor, like, I came from poverty, and I'm one of hundreds of thousands of kids that was taken from my mother and forced out of the state by my father. And I'm also a queer, and I'm also a revolutionary. And you have to give people a go. You have to support the fundamental fact that people have the ability to make decisions collectively for what the majority of people want in society. Like, to have, like, who decided that we should ban same-sex marriage in this country? It was the 1%. Who decided to detain, refugees in detention centres? The 1%. Who decided that workers should not be allowed to have the right to defend their workers' rights? The 1%. Who decided women today should not have full abortion rights that we're still having a fight for? The 1%. Who decided work choices in the past? The 1%. What has continued to win it is people uniting together, no matter what, and standing up and fighting for it, but done peacefully, with civil disobedience and direct action, organised collectively. And I think the very fundamental task is this space is a good opportunity for people to talk politics, to work at various ways we can build solidarity with the other human rights struggles and the movements, as well as them building solidarity with us. It's very much about doing something so that the rich people won't continue to, destroy the environment with, coal and fossil fuel, and fighting for them to use alternative energy. Western nations have, like, most of the world's resources at the expense of the third world. Where's their chance? The poverty is a very big issue, and like many human rights struggles, they're not being given a go. They're not being given a chance. People think that, the poor are just drunks or violent people, when the poor are, in fact, the majority of them are not like that. They just need to be given a go. And I think it's good that we're in a place where people from poverty can be part of that. And I think it's a good chance for all the different groups to come together and end the prisons between people, and gagging each other, but at the same time, remembering that we're human beings first, irregardless of our political beliefs, irregardless of how we organise, etc. Because at the end of the day, the goals that we unite on are more important than anything that tries to divide us. And to accept anything that attempts to divide people, you're essentially saying that if you accept things which divide people, then you're essentially not only giving up on others, but you're giving up on yourself. And it's my strong belief that this chance that we finally won through a long struggle of about 4 years, since November 2007, based on a promise of return from leave of absence without punishment, has meant that it's given both my people and myself a chance to see the truth, to see the reality of the situation, that we're both the same, fighting for the same things, and that having any order in place which undermines that is ineffective, and it's quite frankly bullshit.
Okay, second question is, describe your political philosophy or what you stand for.
My political philosophy is Socialist Alliance political philosophy, but in saying that, it's not about socialism the way we see it. It's about socialism the way based on what the majority of people would want. So it's not about, like, people will argue that people are coming in with their own agendas, etc. The very fundamental reason, the message that I want to get to people is that we come here, we get involved in all these campaigns, no matter the human rights struggle, because we want to see a world where people don't have to continue to suffer under a system that is not about human rights, is not about human life, is just both a profit system, both a system where it controls the self-determination of people. And I think that, to me, socialism is very much about it's very much about a people's democracy. It's very much about the 99% becoming the government, as opposed to the 1% continuing to be the government. It's very much about people not having to work, do 60-hour weeks, It's very much about a society that where people work together to achieve a fundamental change, but most importantly, don't accept a system that has continued to feed them bullshit, lies and contradictions since the day they were born. Like, there are two ways. You can either hang on to the bullshit, or you can look at the solutions of what you can do to stop the bullshit. To focus all your attention to either focus others or focus yourself on bullshit is ineffective. And so it's very much about seeing both sides of the equation and finding a solution in the middle. We're very much about finding solutions to problems. We're very much about standing up for people's lives and rights to be treated equally and the same as everyone else. People, you know, people make mistakes, absolutely. But the best way to correct those mistakes is not focusing on who did what wrong. We need to focus on what is a solution to change the system, to eliminate, to end a system that has continued to mistakenly profess to seem to know what it thinks is best for humanity. I fundamentally believe that capitalism, it's not working. I've always believed that ever since I was a little kid. It's not working, and anything that we can do, like, I don't care if you're gay, straight, black, white, whatever you're, anarchist, from any of the socialist parties, it doesn't matter to me. But they're all an important part of the political process in finding out the best way to get there. We don't have all the answers, but it's my strong belief that by continuing to fight for what the majority of people want, to change the system that we live under, and uniting together to do that, together we can win.
Okay, next question is, what are your top 3 demands and to who?
That's a tough one, because there are a lot of demands, but it's not a question of demands, it's more, what are we fighting for?
These are your individual ones I'm talking about.
Yeah. I very much don't work on an individual basis. I work on a collective basis. It's my strong belief that it is not about the me factor. It is about us and winning a better world for everyone. That's what it's about. So in terms of what are we fighting for, first and foremost, we're fighting for a revolution. Like, we came here because the first reason was we're fighting for socialist alliancing, for social change, but at the same time uniting the 99% of people to fight for equal marriage rights, to fight for ending all wars, to fight for workers' rights, to fight for to end mandatory detention, to free the refugees, to fight for repeal of all abortion laws, to stand up for the 99%, to be the government as opposed to the 1%, but to being the government.
Okay. Next question is, hypothetically, if you had the power, how would you implement those demands?
It would very much, I would first and foremost give power to the people to do that. How do we go about that? Is determined by the people. First and foremost, we set up collectives that would work on infrastructure. Collectives that would work on finance, collectives that would work on policies, collectives that would work on the economy, collectives that would work on everything that is being determined by life. So it's very much done on based on what the majority of people want, where the people make the decisions as opposed to the bosses making the decisions, where all the workers are the bosses as opposed to the workers working for the boss, where the workers become the bosses themselves. It would be implemented through the laws, culture and society, and very much determined by the majority of Australians and not determined by the government. How we get there? Well, it's different. It's different for every human rights struggle. It's always an ongoing question, but the ongoing strategy is encouraging people that they have the capabilities of running this country. They have the capabilities of running this country. People, people can decide what is needed for the economy. People can decide, in terms of important questions like distribution of labour. People can decide where it should be implemented, and so it would be implemented by the people. We just help the people to organise it, and they build it. It would very much be implemented throughout society, and it would be very much determined by the people. For us to set the agenda for the people, that's not democracy, that's not socialism. Socialism is very much about what the majority of people want. And so it's very much, it's always a continuing question. What do the majority want to do to solve a problem? Not what the socialists want the majority of people to do to solve the problem. And that's the difference.
Okay, last question. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I think that people have got to be given a go. First and foremost, people have got to be given a go in terms of running this country. To treat people, to have 1% not listening to people, not listening to what people want, not listening to what people are fighting for, not listening to the fact that every single day people's human rights are continuing to be violated through the laws, culture and society under this system. That when the system that we live under is not working, when it's fundamentally been proven to not work, then it's got to be changed, and people have got to be allowed to do that. The attacks that happened in Melbourne, the people came out on the street and showed that despite the attempts of the police to try and shut down the Occupy movement, if anything, people came together. It really, like, if anything, people were galvanized to fight. And when I talk about fighting, I'm talking about, you know, civil disobedience and direct action, and through various different ways. Does that mean being violent? No. That's not what we're about. We've made it very clear from day one, this whole movement, that we are peaceful, that we haven't lost sight of the bigger picture. As some of the corporate media may have said, if anything, we've continued to build a mass movement to stand up for the 99% to have the power to change the system that we live under for a better world. And it's my hope that the people that I need to hear this will see the truth and will get rehabilitation as opposed to degradation. And that's all I have to say about that.